Hey folks, James here. Before we get started, I wanted to say thank you so much for listening. It really means a lot to me. And if you like what you hear, then please share this with a friend, a loved one, and or a coworker. And keep an eye out for some really cool things going on in 2015. We're taking this to a whole new level. So once again, thank you so much for listening, and mahala. What is up, you freaky motherfuckers? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by what's a podcast? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by NatureBox.com. You know the drill. NatureBox is a fantastic company, some really great stuff. Use the coupon code in the description box below and save $10 off your first box. It's a really great offer, if I can say so myself. And we're also brought to you by Amazon.com. For your shopping needs, here's what you can do to help the podcast out and get something that you want. Go to lookingbackpodcast.weebly.com. The link is in the description. Click the Amazon banner on the front page. Out of whatever you buy, a small percentage comes back to the show, and it really helps us out. With that, thanks for listening, and enjoy this episode of Looking Back.
There goes the neighborhood.
Oh dear sweet baby Jesus. What's going on, everybody? Figured I'd switch things up just a tiny little bit. We're going to continue our series on the rise of Rome. Like I said at the very beginning, I don't know how many episodes this thing's going to be. I'm just going to go until I can't think of nothing more to talk about. We're in a great mood, finally. Had a rough night, but it's all good. We're going to continue talking about Mithridates and what he dealt with. We're going to talk about pirates, Arr, which is their favorite letter. That's a stupid joke. But yeah, we're going to get right into it. Mithridates was the ruler of a kingdom in Asia Minor, what is now modern day Turkey. And that kingdom was called Pontus. And he ruled from 120 BC to 63 BC. He antagonized Rome by looking to expand his kingdom. And for her part, Rome seemed equally keen for war and the spoils and prestige that it might bring. In 88 BC, Mithridates ordered the killing of a majority of the 80,000 Romans living in his kingdom. That massacre was the official reason given by historians for the start of the First Mithridatic War. The Roman general Lucius Cornelius Sulla forced Mithridates out of Greece, but then had to return to Italy to answer the internal threat posed by his rival Gaius Marius. A peace was made between Rome and Pontus, but this proved only a temporary thing. The Second Mithridatic War began when Rome tried to annex a province that Mithridates claimed as his own. In the Third Mithridatic War, first Lucius Licinius Iulius and then Pompey the Great were sent against Mithridates, and he was finally defeated by Pompey in the nighttime Battle of Lycus. Lycia, I don't even know you. The Mediterranean had this time fallen in the hand of pirates, largely from Cilicia. Those pirates not only strangled shipping lanes, but they also plundered many cities on the coasts of Greece and Asia, and Pompey was nominated as commander of a special naval task force to campaign against the pirates. And it took him just 40 days to clear the western portion of the Sea of Pirates and restore communication between Iberia, what is now modern-day Spain, Africa, and Italy. During a term as praetor in the Iberian Peninsula, Pompey's contemporary, Julius Caesar, defeated two local tribes in battle. Following his term as consul in 59 BC, he was then appointed to a 5-year term as the proconsular governor of Cisalpine Gaul, what is current northern Italy. Transalpine Gaul, current southern France, and Illyria, what is now the modern day Balkans. Not content with an idle governorship, Caesar strove to find reason to invade Gaul, which would give him the dramatic military success that he sought after. When two local tribes began to migrate on a route that would take them near, not into, the Roman province of Transalpine Gaul, Caesar had the barely sufficient excuse he needed for his Gallic War, fought between 58 BC and 49 BC. He defeated large armies at major battles in 58 and 57 BC. In 55 and 54 BC, he made two expeditions into Britain, becoming the first Roman to do so. He then defeated a union of Gauls at the Battle of Alesia, completing the Roman conquest of Transalpine Gaul. And by the year 50 BC, the entirety of Gaul was in Roman hands. Gaul never regained its Celtic identity. It never attempted another nationalist rebellion, and other than the crisis of the 3rd century, it remained loyal to Rome until the fall of the empire in 476. By 59 BC, an unofficial alliance known as the First Triumvirate was formed between Gaius Julius Caesar, Marcus Licinius Crassus, and Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, also known as Pompey the Great, to share power and influence. And in 53 BC, Crassus launched a Roman invasion of the Parthian Empire, now known as modern-day Iraq and Iran. After initial success, he marched his army deep into the desert, but here his army was cut off deep in enemy territory, where it was surrounded and slaughtered at the Battle of Carrhae, in which Crassus himself was killed. The death of Crassus removed some of the balance in the triumvirate, and consequently, Caesar and Pompey began to move apart. While Caesar was fighting in Gaul, Pompey proceeded with a legislative agenda for Rome that revealed that he was, at best, ambivalent towards Caesar, and perhaps now covertly allied with Caesar's political enemies. In 51 BC, some Roman senators demanded that Caesar not be permitted to stand for consul unless he turned over control of his armies to the state, which would have left Caesar defenseless before his enemies. He chose civil war over laying down his command and facing trial. By the spring of 49 BC, the hardened legions of Caesar crossed the Rubicon and swept down the Italian peninsula towards Rome, while Pompey ordered the abandonment of Rome. Afterwards, Caesar turned his attention to the Pompeian stronghold of Iberia, now modern-day Spain. But he decided to tackle Pompey himself in Greece, and Pompey initially defeated Caesar, but he failed to follow up on the victory. And so he was decisively defeated at the Battle of Pharsalus in 48 BC, despite the fact that he outnumbered Caesar's forces 2-1. Also with inferior quality troops, Pompey fled again, this time to Egypt, where he was murdered. His death didn't result in the end of the civil war, as Caesar's enemies were manifold and continued to fight. In 46 BC, he lost perhaps as much as a third of his own army, but he ultimately came back to defeat the Pompeian army of Metellus Scipio in the Battle of Thapsus, after which the Pompeians retreated again to Iberia. Caesar, then defeated the combined Pompeian forces at the Battle of Munda, not to be confused with the Battle of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Caesar was now the primary figure of the Roman state, enforcing and entrenching his power, and his enemies feared that he had ambitions to become an autocratic ruler. Arguing that the Roman Republic was in danger, a group of senators hatched a conspiracy, and they murdered Caesar in the Senate in March of 44 BC. Mark Antony, who was Caesar's lieutenant, condemned his assassination, and war broke out between the two factions. Antony was denounced as a public enemy, and Caesar's adopted son and chosen heir, Gaius Octavian, was entrusted with the command of the war against him. At the Battle of Mutina, Antony was defeated by the consuls Hirtius and Pansa, who were both killed. Octavian came to terms with Caesarions Antony and Lepidus in 43 BC when the Second Triumvirate was formed. In 42 BC, triumvirs Mark Antony and Octavian fought the Battle of Philippi with Caesar's assassins Brutus and Cassius. Although Brutus defeated Octavian, Antony defeated Cassius, who committed suicide. Brutus joined him shortly thereafter. However, a civil war flared up again when the second triumvirate of Octavian, Lepidus, and Mark Antony failed. The ambitious Octavian built a power base of patronage and then launched a campaign against Mark Antony. At the Battle of Actium, a naval battle off the coast of Greece, Octavian decisively defeated Antony and Cleopatra. Octavian was granted a series of special powers, including sole imperium within the city of Rome, prominent consul powers, and credit for every Roman military victory. Since all future generals were assumed to be acting under his command, in 27 BC Octavian was granted the use of the names Augustus and Princip, indicating his primary status above all other Romans, and he adopted the title Imperator Caesar, making him the first Roman emperor. If you want to know more about the emperors of Rome, that series is available as well. On the next show, we will get into, and I try and keep these short and sweet so you're not bored, basically. The next episode, we'll get into a little bit of the political history of the Roman Republic. Quite honestly, this is where things will get good and really, really interesting. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. That one will probably be up. I'm going to shoot for tomorrow night at the very latest on Sunday night. And I will try and get a show up and available for you guys every day this week. So definitely keep an eye out open for that one. Once again, thank you so much for listening. It really means a lot to me. And I will see you guys next time. Take care of yourself and each other.
That's the end of my show. Donk.